Hi, and welcome to Hands on Little Things. This is the show where we demonstrate a fun craft that you can do in your very own home. And my name is Jessica Bishop, and I am the founder of thebudgetsavvybride.com. And today I'm going to be showing you a really fun, simple, and super customizable craft project that you can do to personalize your wedding day. And so what you're seeing on screen right now is 4 different DIY ring bearer boxes. This is a super simple project that can really be truly customized to fit whatever theme of wedding you're having, and it's super affordable and will also make a nice keepsake that you can keep in your home after you get married. So that's what we're going to be making today. As you can see, there's 4 different styles, and I'm going to be showing you all of those on camera. So what we're going to need for these projects, there's, as I said, 4 different ones, and so you're not going to need every single one of these items for the one specific box you're going to make, but here is a list of the things that I'm going to be using today. So first is wooden trinket boxes, which you can totally pick up at your local craft store or order online. Also acrylic paint, watercolor paint, a sandpaper or sandpaper block to roughen up some edges, wood glue, mini wooden hearts, a paint palette, a foam brush or paintbrush, different types of fabric, cotton stuffing, ribbon, scissors, needle and thread, Mod Podge, and some wooden letter tiles, kind of like Scrabble tiles. So like I said, this is everything that I'm using today. It's not going to be something you need, every single item for each specific individual project. So just keep that in mind. All right, so the first one we're gonna start with is the modern version. And this ring bearer box is featuring these cute little Scrabble letter tiles. I chose the letters LOVE because I just think that's really sweet. Obviously, it's a wedding project, but you could totally do your initials and your fiance's initials. You could maybe order special wooden tiles online that have numbers instead if you wanted to do your wedding date. So it's really fun, really customizable, and totally up to you what you want to do with those tiles. So to get started, we are going to just paint this box. Super, super simple. So I'm just using some black acrylic paint. Get myself a little organized here.
While you're doing that, I'm just going to introduce myself. I'm Sarah, and I'm moderating the conversation, so I'll be shouting out any of your guys' comments or questions as we go, so please be sure to write in, tell us where you're watching from. Let us know if you have any questions about this craft, or if you have anyone getting married soon. If you're getting married soon, we want to hear from you.
Yes. And if you're getting married soon, you probably know that the budget is one of the hardest areas to deal with. So that's why my site exists. And there's lots of great projects on there, just like this one, that can help you customize your wedding while also saving money. So like I said, I'm just going to start with a foam brush and acrylic paint, and I'm literally just going to paint it. I mean, it really doesn't get much simpler than this, y'all. So
we got a lot of people tuning in already, just from all over. I'll shout a couple of them out. Barbara Smola from Rochester, New York. Lulu Lorraine is from Quebec, and she says it looks very good. Gunu Modus says, nice one. He likes it. B. Milka says, lovely. So people are a fan of this already.
Awesome. Yeah, I really love this project because, like I said, obviously I'm going to show 4 different options so you can easily customize this no matter what your wedding theme is. And it doesn't just have to be a ring bearer box either. It could totally be, a gift box for your bridesmaids' gifts. So it's really flexible, really customizable, and super easy. So just painting all 4 corners of this, trying to keep the paint off my fingers as much as possible.
It's all right. It's a craft. You can get a little messy.
Everyone gets a little messy when you craft, right? All right. So that's the lid, and now I'm gonna do the base as well.
So Shailene Von Acker says, oh, those are so cute. What a fun idea. Jacinda Nathan saying, good morning from New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
Rebecca Skadlock Harrington is watching from Lafayette, Louisiana. And Sandy DeLong says she's watching from Ohio and her best friend's getting married in October this year.
Yay!
So maybe, Sandy, you can recommend some of these ideas to your best friend.
Yes, absolutely. I'm gonna paint the bottom of this too, just to give it like a fully finished look.
I really love that you could customize this according to the colors of, you know, your bridesmaids' dresses. And like you said, you can put the initials as Scrabble letters. That's so cute. I am a traditionalist though for the love letters because I'm from Philly.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think it's great. I feel like couples these days want to personalize their wedding in every way possible. They want it to be unique and stand out and really put their personal stamp on their day. So this is a great way to do that and not spend a lot of money. So I'm gonna let this dry for a second. And then what I'll want to do once the lid is dry is I'm gonna take some wood glue and I'm going to attach the letters to the box. So literally could not be more simple, but I'm just gonna give this another couple minutes to dry. It seems like a little bit wet to the touch as right now, so.
In general, how quickly does the acrylic paint dry in? Like a couple minutes?
Yeah, a few minutes. I mean, ideally I would maybe give it 5 to 10 minutes. It really just depends. As long as you can touch it and not get paint on your fingers, I think it should be fine. But ideally, you'd probably want to let it sit for longer before you added the letters. But we're gonna speed on through
For
it.
TV magic.
Yes, for TV magic.
Mary Rogers says, that is cool, and you both have a wonderful day. It looks very nice. Great job. Thank you, Mary. And then Amelia Gutierrez says, this is a great idea. My friend's getting married in November 2018. I'm gonna send her your link.
Yay, please do. You have so many fun ideas. I love coming up with projects that save couples money and allow them to place that personal stamp on their day, because everybody loves those details. That's what really makes up the memorable aspects of the wedding are those details.
Especially if this is something you do together, like if you each painted a box for each other, or your friends will have this box forever to put their jewelry in. I love that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So while I'm letting that dry for a second, I'm just gonna show you a little bit about how to do the inside. So really, the inside of the box, you obviously could just, leave it raw, but to get a good kind of look on the inside, what I like to do is to take just some fabric and just try to measure it to make it the width of the box so it fits. And I'm actually going to do a no-sew version of this, but if you wanted to get real official, you could totally sew a little pillow to go inside. So I'm just going to cut this the same width as the box. And I'm not being too scientific here, y'all, but you could take your time with it if you wanted to. And then I'm actually just gonna kind of roll it so it has a little bit of volume, and then you just kind of stuff it in and it will kind of sit up on its own. So this is just the easy way to do that. But you can totally sew a little pillow if you want, and I can demonstrate that later if we have time at the end, but we have 4 projects to get through, so we'll see. And then at this point, you could then take, a ribbon. This is another great part of it that's super customizable. So you can really choose whatever color ribbon you want that goes with your wedding theme or the color of your flowers or whatever. You could do white, you could do hot pink. I'm going for more of a modern look, so I'm gonna go with the hot pink. It kind of ties in with the love theme. So I'm just actually gonna take this ribbon and kind of just make a simple bow, just so I know how long it needs to be. Should have brought some little baby wipes to clean off my fingers from
Oh, we don't care. We don't care at all.
No judging. I mean, it's not crafting unless you get a little messy, y'all.
It's true.
So that seems like a pretty good size, and I would, tuck the tails in when I close the box. So I'm just going to cut the end of the ribbon This is still kind of drying. I'm gonna give it a few more minutes while we're working on this.
I actually have a recommendation, or it's more of a question, but I love this. Diana Holt says, could you do something like this for a gender reveal? Which I think, yeah, the gender reveals are super popular this day. You could use this box for really anything. It's super versatile. We always get great ideas from you guys, so thanks for writing in.
Yeah, that's a great idea. What I really love about this project, I mean, besides just for weddings, is it really can be whatever you want to make it. And you know, I actually ordered these boxes online, and it came in a set. It came with 12 of them in the package, so I had a bunch to use, and you can totally use them for different things. You can make them as gifts for different people. So sometimes when you order online and you get something, you know, in bulk, it really can save you money, and it gives you more flexibility and more fun crafts to potentially make. So. All right, so now I'm just going to sew my ribbon just very, very simply onto this little spot on the fabric.
So Susie Sprankle's asking, are they wood boxes? They are wood boxes.
They are. Oops. Here, I'm gonna pull this out and do this differently. Sorry.
What did you call them again? They were trinket?
Trinket, yeah, trinket boxes. I think, you know, you can definitely find them at your local craft store. You can order them online. You know, I've seen them, you know, these are obviously just a lid and a separate base, but I've seen versions at different stores that are hinged. And maybe even have like a little clasp or a lock on them. So there's lots of different options that you could potentially do. So, all right, here we go. Try on this again. Just gonna poke through here. Sewing this ribbon into the center.
I think it's so relaxing to watch someone sew and craft. Like, this show always relaxes me. I sit here and I feel so serene afterwards.
I admittedly am not an expert sewer, but I think the result of this project, you know, still turns out great, whether you consider yourself an expert crafter or sewer or what have you. So, like I said, I really like to make my projects simple, doable for anybody. You don't have to be a crafting genius to like make it work for you. So, very simple. As you see now, my ribbon is attached, and I'll just kind of fold the fabric back inside the box. And as you can see, because it's a tiny bit wider, it has some volume, so it kind of pokes up a little bit and gives a little dimension, so that's nice. And then what you would do is you would just, you know, take your rings and thread them through the ribbon, tie it again. So super simple. This is looking pretty good. I think it's pretty much dry. So now I'm gonna show you how easy it is to put on these letters. So this is actually, you know, you just want to kind of visually center them up as best you can. I can't see completely right on top of it. I'm trying to look. All right. So yeah, just kind of visually center them as best you can. And then I'm just going to take some wood glue. Can get it open.
You got it.
I need some muscle.
This is the hardest part of the craft.
It is. It is. Oh, it's a lift, not a twist. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. So now I'm just literally going to apply some wood glue. Kind of like a thin coat here. It was a little thicker than I wanted, actually. I'm gonna blow on it a little bit, let it dry just a smidge before I place it. And that's just to let it get like a little bit tacky, I guess, before I put it on. And the wood glue tends to dry pretty clear, so don't worry if you get like a little bit too much. It should dry clear and unnoticeable. So, and one thing you might want to consider, you know, I just painted this with one layer of paint. You could totally add multiple layers if the color isn't as bold as you might want it to be. Really up to you. It depends on the type of paint you use as well. I used acrylic on this project, but I have another project that I'm going to be doing in a few that the example uses watercolor paint. So lots of really fun customizable options that you could consider.
We still got people joining in a little late, just saying where they're watching from. Mary Ellis Garcia is watching from Puerto Rico, Kayleen Jackson from Kentucky, Giselle Conception from the Bronx. Hey, New York.
Yeah, right up the street, right?
Yeah.
All right, so just placing these, and it takes a bit for this glue to dry. This wouldn't be something you would want to do on the morning of your wedding.
Yeah, you got to plan ahead a little.
Yeah, plan ahead. And that's my advice with all DIY projects when it comes to the wedding day. I recommend that brides have all of their major crafting done at least 2 weeks before the wedding day, because you don't want to be going crazy. You don't want to be running around and trying to make things and overwhelm yourself and stress yourself out. Because I don't know about you, you know, I don't consider myself a super expert crafter. So occasionally things go wrong and you have to start again, and you might need to go out and get more supplies to redo it. So always, you know, give yourself that time and don't wait till the last minute. So this is pretty much how it goes, and I would just let this dry. The tiles will become, you know, adhered completely to the wood, so that's great. Another thing that you might want to consider, because these tiles are actually like covered in a gloss, you might want to sand the back of them a little bit first. I'm going to be using one of these sanding blocks for a project in a little bit, and so you could actually just use the sanding block to sand off the glossy edge. That might help it adhere a little bit faster and smoother. Just something you might want to keep in mind. So yeah, that's pretty much our first one. And now we are going to take a quick break for an ad. So we'll be right back. Okay, so you just saw our first option for the DIY ring bearer box. This was the modern one. I'm gonna let this dry. These tiles are drying right now. But we're going to move on to option number 2, which is the rustic ring bearer box. And for this particular project, we are going to use another wooden trinket box and one of these little wooden hearts. You might be able to find these at your local craft store or pick them up online. Lots of great die cut kind of wood items that you can order from different places online. So we're also going to use some acrylic paint again for this project, and the sanding block that I just mentioned. So, and also wood glue. And yeah, so let's get into it. I'm going to start by I'm using a kind of like a dusty gray bluish color for this rustic box. It's very light. Oh, I haven't even opened this paint yet. I might want to unseal it. Brand new, right out of the box.
We saved the best for our crafting show live.
Yes. I really love this color. In the example that's on the screen on your top right, it's actually a bright white, but for this demo, I decided to do something with a little bit color so it just kind of pops a little bit more. But all right, so as you can see, it's like a really light gray blue. It's really pretty. So again, I'm just gonna start by painting the box. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Oh, this paintbrush is really stiff. Okay, so, you know, this is acrylic paint just like I used on the last project. You're just gonna cover completely the top and bottom of your box. And then, you know, like I mentioned before, you probably want to let it dry for 5 or 10 minutes or so, longer if possible. But if you're in a rush like me, I know I'm an impatient crafter. I have a really hard time just like sitting and waiting for paint to dry and things like that. So that can get me in trouble from time to time. So if you do have the time and you've planned ahead and you know, give yourself the time you actually need to do a craft project, then it'll turn out better if you don't rush through it. So just covering all 4 edges of this.
I love that color.
It's so pretty, right? It's very subtle. But that's a big trend in weddings now too, like the very soft, muted, dusty kind of color palettes are huge trends right now. I see a lot of like the dusty blue and like the really pale pink. What do they call millennial pink? Everyone's obsessed with that kind of shade right now. So blush, you know, it's a very nice calming color palette for a wedding. And one of the tips that I share on my website actually, one of the ways that you can kind of make your wedding look more luxe for less, make it look a little bit more fancy, a little bit more glamorous, is to kind of use like a muted color palette, just because it gives that kind of like elegance to all the details of your day. And kind of keeping things monochromatic is great as well. So like just a few light shades of blue or pink, or even like ivories, golds, can really give you a luxurious looking wedding without costing you any more money.
That's pretty genius.
I think it's a pretty good tip.
It's so simple, but you don't necessarily think of that when you're planning.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I love to, you know, I see a lot with these muted color palettes is, you know, bridal parties carrying mostly white florals. And I think that really helps like up the glam factor as well. Just like that beautiful crisp white and greenery, and that's it. Just really elegant, really classic, timeless.
So Delia Mendez says that she really likes it and that she thinks it's a beautiful color. Yeah, I'm really liking this color. I'm like, I kind of want to paint the walls of my room this color.
It's very serene.
Yeah.
Very calming. I went a little bit more bold for my wedding, and actually one of the projects we'll be doing a little bit later features my favorite color, which is turquoise. So
yes. So we have something for everyone here.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, the examples that are in the upper right screen, I'm doing a little bit of a twist on some of them in the actual demos. So like I said, this color is a little bit more dusty blue rather than white, but it's just gives it a little bit something extra. So I'm just painting the bottom of the box just to give it that finished look, and I'm gonna let it dry for a second. So so for this rustic style, I'm actually going to be putting one of these little wooden hearts on top of the box. It is just a raw wooden heart. You can get them in bulk online or at your local craft store, I'm sure. And what I love about this is that, you know, it has that raw, you know, wood texture. So like it looks really great on its own. You don't need to paint it. You totally could though. And that's like where I say these projects are so customizable. You can really, you know, personalize it to what matches your wedding day the best. And so I also have an example here of one that I actually painted with watercolor. So this one, you know, has you know, that red color to it, but you can still kind of see the wood tone through it, and that's why I chose the watercolor rather than an acrylic paint. But it's totally customizable, so whatever kind of floats your boat, whatever speaks to you the most, I guess.
Well, we have a bride-to-be in the audience right now. Lisa Brown says, what a great idea. I love it. I am getting married in November and would love to try these ideas. So Lisa, congratulations. And also, what are your colors? We want to know your color scheme.
Oh, yes.
Let us know in the comments. I'm so excited.
So, okay, I'm going to just quickly glue this using our wood glue again. Just putting a thin layer. Get the glue running here. All right, there we go. Just putting kind of a thin layer of glue on the bottom of the heart. And I'm going to just adhere it to the top. Just kind of visually center it like we did with the other. And you're just gonna, let that dry. So one thing that I really like to do with, the projects where I'm doing the acrylic paint, it's a more solid, more opaque paint, which means you can't see the wood texture through it as much, but you might be wanting that more rustic look, like you see in the example in the upper right. So what you can do is you can take your, sanding block or just regular sanding paper. I like the block because it gives you a little bit more leverage. So you can just take the sanding block and just kind of sand the edges. And what I typically try to do is just do like the corners on each side of the corner. That's where I'll kind of focus my effort in sanding. And I'll also do, the bottom and top edge of where I painted. Trying not to sand my nice manicure here.
I know, you're doing a great job. Keeping it fancy.
Yeah, trying. So yeah, as you can see, this kind of like edge here is getting, a little bit raw as I sand it. So that's what we're looking for. That's what makes it feel a little bit more rustic. It's like seeing that wood texture come through because we painted it a very solid opaque paint, but we want to see a little bit of that wood come back through, so it gives it that rustic feel. So I'm just moving my way all around here.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
It's so simple, again, but you wouldn't necessarily think of it.
Yeah, I think it makes it super just, simple, but interesting. It gives you that level of visual interest. Blowing off my sand here. I think that, rustic weddings are still a huge, huge trend. I grew up outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and so, all the weddings I went to when I was younger, tend to happen in barns, and they love, the rustic vibe. Lots of mason jars and burlap, and, even though, like, some of those things, like, aren't maybe as popular as they once were, I still see a ton of rustic weddings, and this is a great way to get kind of like a rustic look without being so, I don't want to say overdone, but like so common.
Yep.
So this is just a little bit more unique. You can kind of like rough up the edges, make it a little bit more visually interesting, and get that rustic look without doing something that you've seen, everywhere. So
our November bride wrote back that she loves anything lace and vintage, so this is kind of perfect.
Oh yeah.
Or she said gold or maybe burnt orange since it's going to be a Thanksgiving wedding.
Ooh.
And then we have a December bride writing in, Mary Lise Garcia. She says her colors are going to be lavender, gold, and ivory, which also sounds so beautiful.
Oh yeah. You ladies have nice taste.
Yeah, are you ladies going to try out some of these crafts for your wedding?
So I did the edges of this one, and now I'm going to do the lid. Just going along the same way I did before. And especially for the lid, since it's going to be more of the focal point, I'm going to focus on the corners, like the actual corners of the top of the lid. Since this is all TV magic, my heart is obviously not completely stably glued on the lid, but ideally you could either let your lid completely dry before you sand and then apply the heart, or apply the heart and then wait for it to be completely solid and glued to the lid before you sand it. So, but we're all about the TV magic right now, so. Just sanding the four corners and the edges. blowing the sand dust as I go. I really like these blocks because it's just easy to hold in your hand. I find it much easier to work with than just regular sandpaper. So as you can see now, our edges are just a little bit raw, and you can kind of see that natural wood tone kind of coming through. So for one like this, I think that I would probably choose, you know, like a white fabric or a burlap fabric. I have some nice kind of like ivory here, that's great. And maybe to go with that dusty blue, to use like a light blue ribbon for the ribbon to tie on the inside. So really simple again, and really cute. And what I really love about these is, you know, you can totally use these after the wedding day to keep your rings on your nightstand when you take them off at night, you know, to repurpose or give as a gift later. Just super easy, super fun, and very customizable.
So Lisa just had a question about what kind of paint you recommended using. So, because we've been using a couple, I think, right?
Yeah, so I've, for the first two examples that I've done, I actually used acrylic paint for both of those. So you can totally use whatever you like. Acrylic paint is just really easy to get, you know, at any craft store or any even like local big box store. They all pretty much carry acrylic paint. So it's super easy to get, and pretty affordable too. I mean, I know you can get like a bottle of acrylic paint for, you know, under $1 at a lot of the craft stores. So super affordable too. So should we move on to option number 3?
Let's do it.
Okay. So that was rustic, and now we're gonna move on to vintage. So for the gal who mentioned she liked lace and vintage, you're gonna love this one. So for this project, I actually need some water for the watercolor.
Cool.
But we've got, basically we're starting with the same kind of pieces that we used in the beginning. So we've got the wooden trinket box, the you know, a paint palette here, which I'm going to put some water in just a sec. And what I've got here is just some lace ribbon. You can totally find this at a craft store. Really lovely, really simple. You can probably find it on a roll or just buy, you know, by the yard if you would like. And then I'm actually going to be using watercolor paint to apply the color to this box for this project. Like I had mentioned before, the acrylic paint is a little bit more opaque, so you're going to get a full coverage of the wood. You're not going to see as much of the wood texture through it or anything like that. So, whereas with the watercolor, it's more transparent. So you're not gonna get that full coverage that you got with the acrylic paint. Instead, it's going to be more transparent and a little bit more, you know, watercolory. You know what it looks like when you paint with watercolor. It's a little bit clearer. You can see the paper or whatever medium you're painting on through the color. So, so that's kind of the look that we're actually going for. So I'm just going to start with a brush and some water, and I'm going to do just a brown, you know, light brown. So as you can see, this goes on super, super light. So with watercolor, you can really kind of customize how much color you want to apply. You know, by adding more pigment to your brush before putting it on. And, you know, it's almost like a stain, like a watercolor stain. And that's actually another thing you could do. You could buy a wood stain instead of watercolor if you were interested in just staining the wood. So, as you can see, this is going on pretty light, which I like. It's very lovely and light. But I'll probably build a little bit more color as I work. I don't know how many of you maybe have done watercolor painting painting in the past, but you know, it's very buildable, but you want to start out light because you can't really go backwards once you've applied, you know, a lot of pigment. You might realize you overdid it and have to start over. So it's always a little bit safer to just do a little bit at a time and until you reach your desired kind of darkness of the color.
I love this. This definitely looks very natural and reminds me of a stain, which I think it still goes with the rustic look. So you could almost do them together, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I think that a lot of people tend to like have rustic and vintage kind of themes in their weddings. So.
Totally.
So yeah, just kind of adding some color. And it's even actually looking almost like a little red. So if I wanted to, I could, you know, pick in other colors of watercolor and add it. You know, maybe some black to kind of mute it back down a little bit if I wanted. Totally up to you. I mean, all of this is like just fun and games. So you can kind of, you know, play around with it, find what you like the best, customize it to what you like. So, like I said, I'm just kind of like adding. Don't want to like go too dark. So it's like a delicate balance. Like once you get over that edge, you can't get back. So
less is more.
Yes, less is more. Very true. So as you can see the nice wood texture still through the color, which is really nice. That's looking pretty good.
I love it.
Yeah, I think I'm liking that. So I'm gonna move on to the bottom of the box now. And it's really good if you kind of give like just a light layer of like the water over the entire area that you're working on, because when you're working with watercolor, having that base of the water helps move the color around a little bit better. So I'm gonna do that. Just lightly water all the way around. Still has a little bit of the color on it from my last little round.
I have a random question for you.
Sure.
But being that you specialize in, you know, weddings on a budget, there's that whole, you know, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. Does that have to be something that the bride is wearing?
I think typically, traditionally, yes.
It is. Okay.
It's something that they wear or that they carry with them. I see a lot of, you know, like bouquet charms that feature something old or new or borrowed. But typically, yeah, it's something that the bride either like wears on her person or carries with her throughout the day. So whether that's like, you know, something on her bouquet or maybe a clutch, you know, that she carries with her.
Right, jewelry.
Yeah.
No, I was wondering too, because I was like, oh, if you're missing the something blue, you could paint your box blue, but that kind of doesn't count. So.
Kind of, maybe. I don't know. These days, you know what? I say the rules are meant to be broken. Do what feels good to you. You know, that's one of the big things that I stress and kind of preach, I guess, on the Budget Savvy Bride is that, you know, I feel like a lot of couples feel pressure to, you know, overspend on their wedding because of, you know, the media and society and whatever and their friends. They don't want to get judged for having a cheap wedding. But at the end of the day, you know, you have to do what makes the most sense for you as a couple. And I think, you know, included in that is like the different wedding traditions that are a part of a day. So if you don't want to do a garter toss, you think it's weird or cheesy or whatever, don't do it. And if you don't want to do the traditional something old, new, borrowed blue, feel free to skip it. We were just chatting earlier about kind of an untraditional item that was featured on the Budget Savvy Bride, which was a donut cake. Instead of a traditional wedding cake, a couple used, you know, donuts and stacked them in almost like a tower to make like this really adorable wedding cake. And I think that's another great example of just, you know, something that you can do that's a little bit untraditional, not the norm, but it adds some extra like personality to your day. Anyways, side note, tangent, back to the ring bearer box. So now that I've added, you know, my color here, to both the top and the bottom. It's just like a nice kind of like honey, caramelly brown. I am going to now add this lace ribbon to the lid. And so really what I'm going to do is just kind of wrap it around the lid so I can see how long it needs to be. And then I'm just going to take some scissors and kind of cut it to size. Voila. And then you're going to use some like decoupage, sealant, Mod Podge. You know, there's all sorts of different things out there that you can use. And I'm just really going to use a light layer. Got my other paintbrush here. Now I have so many paintbrushes with paint on them. I'm like, oh, I can't use the one with paint on them. Okay, so this is a little, spread it out so I can get my paintbrush in here. All right, so really all you need to do, you could do a light layer kind of the sealant on the box itself. And again, ideally, you would probably want to let the watercolor dry for a while before you move on to step 2. But because we are showing you so many examples in one short hour, I'm just gonna go for it. And what's great about this is that it dries clear. So again, you don't have to worry about it messing up your color that you just added to your box. So I'm just kind of putting on a light layer all the way around. And I'm gonna do even the sides the lace isn't going on, just so that it all has the same kind of like finish and texture to it. Otherwise one side might be, you know, shinier or just a little bit different. So just to keep it consistent, I'm gonna do just a light layer all the way around. Okay. And so now I'm just going to place the lace just visually on, you know, the center. And I'm just gonna like press it with my fingers and it'll start to adhere to that thin layer that I just put down. But I'm gonna wanna go over it again to truly seal it onto the surface of the wood. So this side's not wanting to stick so much. So I will be doing that with more, just a little bit more to get it to stick a little bit better. Okay. There we go. Now it's ready to stay. All right. So now I'm just going to take my brush and do a light coating over all of it. It's going to look like everything's turning white and it might freak you out. It freaked me out the first time, but it dries clear. So this is meant to be used to seal, you know, different things to a surface. And so it dries clear and you'll be able to see everything perfectly through that layer of sealant. So don't worry guys, it'll be fine. I'm kind of obsessed with doing stuff like this.
It's funny, the first time I used it, I had the same fear. Like I was like, what? They said it dried clear, and then it did dry clear.
Yeah.
It just took a minute.
Yeah, you just got to give it time. Another cool thing that you could do, you know, with like the decoupage sealer is, you know, you could cut out like photos from magazines or something. Like you could totally make these boxes into cute little like bridesmaids gifts and like cut out magazine letters and put their name on it, or, you know, really personalize it, customize it with like an inspirational quote that you found. I mean, really the options with these boxes are truly endless, and that's why I love, you know, when you order them online, you can get like a bunch of them and do a bunch of different projects with them. So now that that's there, I'm going to let that dry. And, you know, I would say, just to be safe, like I mentioned, I would probably just do a light layer all the way around of the sealant, just so it has that same texture and same finish. This one in particular is a matte finish, not a gloss, so I don't have to worry necessarily that much about the textures being different, but in my opinion, it's always better safe than sorry. So, you know, it also would probably help the color stay on better as well and leave it like less likely to get rubbed off or scraped off, depending on, you know, if it gets hit or bumped by something. So.
Well, Pat Lambden Caps Ferguson says, love it.
Yay.
Yeah, I think these are really cute, and they're giving me inspiration for just, you know, even if you're not getting married or don't have someone getting married, if you have like little trinkets laying around your room, whatever, like you could make something cute like this to declutter and put them away in.
Absolutely. I'm like the queen of buying storage boxes. Lots of storage boxes for everything you might need. So why not make your own and make it very cute and personalized and custom? You can totally match it to the colors of your bedroom or, and I love, you know, they're all square, perfectly square, so they can stack on top of each other really cute and nice too. So definitely more options with these little boxes than just wedding related projects. Cleaning some of this paint and stuff off my fingers for a second. So for this version, I would probably do, you know, a more rustic interior or, you know, pillow part for the inside. Maybe like, you know, some of that burlap to make it a little bit more unique. You know, you can just fold it and put it in the box like we showed before. And I like to leave it just a little bit bigger so that it kind of like puffs up a little bit. So then you can, you know, add your ribbon and tie your rings on it. I'd probably go, you know, with a white ribbon just to remain like very classic and simple, and to play off that white lace on the top. So that would be really cute. And a great little vintage version of our ring box. So,
I love it.
yay. So easy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, DIY doesn't have to be difficult. It's totally easy, totally accessible, and totally customizable. So I think we're gonna take a quick break, but we'll be right back with the final ring bearer box. All right, so we just finished up our vintage ring bearer box here with the cute lace and burlap inside. We're going to move on to the final one. And this one I'm a little bit partial to because it's my favorite color. If you visit my website, thebudgetsavvybride.com, you will see lots of this color all over my website. My branding is all lovely shade of turquoise. Fun fact, my bridesmaids actually wore turquoise in my wedding, which was 8.5 years ago. It makes me feel like I've been married forever. So yes, turquoise is my favorite color, and you might even call it, you know, Tiffany blue. I know it's very, very trendy for lots of brides love this color for their wedding. They might have, you know, an engagement ring from Tiffany's. I mean, who doesn't love seeing that little blue box, right? So this is actually, this final project is kind of a play on that little blue box that all the girls know and love. And so I'm just gonna start back using, you know, acrylic paint in the color turquoise, and pretty much just going to paint our box.
You guys can't see it, but Jessica is actually wearing turquoise as we speak. So this is really her color.
I can't tell you how often I'll get stopped on the street in New York City and they're like, you have a favorite color. And I'm like, is it that obvious? Because I'm pretty much always wearing something that is aqua or turquoise or teal or mint or some variant of those colors. It really is my favorite. So my high school prom dress was turquoise. My bridesmaids were turquoise. So yeah, it's a problem. I have kind of an addiction to all things this color. So, you know, the acrylic paint goes on super easy. It's, you know, an opaque paint, so you won't be able to see the wood grain through it like we could with the watercolor. Depending on the color that you use, you may find that you want to apply more than one coat. Totally up to you. I recommend, you know, letting it dry for a bit between coats if you can. But overall, like acrylic paint, you know, super affordable, super easy to work with, super easy to clean up, very versatile. So a win all around.
We have some people shouting in their favorite colors and stuff.
Yeah.
Lisa Brown, she's getting married in November. She liked the last box that it's exactly like you predicted. She liked the last box that you made with the lace and the like light watercolor brown. She said she's going to make that one for her wedding.
Yay.
And I love this suggestion from Valerie Wise. She said velvet would be good for the inside of the ring bearer box.
I love that idea.
Sounds beautiful. And again, like one of those fake ways to make it look luxe, for less.
Absolutely. You could totally pick up some velvet from your local craft store, especially if you just get a tiny bit of it. You won't need much for a project like this. So it would totally be affordable. That's a great idea. I love that. Especially with this particular one that tends to be like a little bit more glamorous, I guess you could say. That would be a really fun, maybe some like white velvet. Ooh,
that sounds amazing.
Really luxe.
I have to file all these packs away because I have not gotten married yet, so I'm just storing them away for later.
Right. Yes, I will say, I got married in the days before Pinterest. And so, I feel happy about that in some ways and sad about that in some ways. Now it's like brides have so many places to go for inspiration, and it's wonderful, but it can also be very overwhelming. So, it was a blessing and a curse that it didn't exist when I got married, but yeah, those ideas are just so easily shareable now with all the different social media options out there. So again, just covering the whole thing with paint. I mean, this one is actually the simplest of the group because I'm literally just going to paint it this turquoise, and then I would let it dry completely. And then, excuse me, I would take, well, first let me like wipe all the turquoise paint off my fingers so I don't get it on my nice pretty white ribbon. But as you know, that beautiful little blue box features that turquoise color, and then it's wrapped with a white satin ribbon. So they have a very special way that they tie their ribbons, and I've actually gone on YouTube to, figure it out. I don't know off the top of my head, but it's something you could totally look up, like how to tie a Tiffany bow. And I should be better at it because every time I have to wrap a present, I try to do that bow because it's just very, pretty, and it lays flat and it looks awesome, but alas, I'm not an expert gift wrapper, so not my jam necessarily, but so I'm just gonna kind of cut the edges of this ribbon because it's a bit frayed. You want it to be like really clean and crisp so it looks as classic and glamorous as possible. And if you want it to be, really sharp edge, probably want to use a bigger scissor where you could make one cut instead of multiple. I'm using baby scissors. And then actually a nice trick is to just kind of use a lighter and burn the edges so that it doesn't run. So then you would really just, I don't think this is going to be dry quite soon enough for me to wrap it around. But you would just wrap the ribbon around and tie it in a bow, just like a present. So, and I think all of these are great. This one might be a little bit more secure to make sure your ring bearer actually gets down the aisle without losing the rings, maybe because it's tied and it's sealed. But you could always, add hinges to these boxes or, put something on it to keep it closed and make sure that little guy gets down the aisle without dropping the rings. I've seen a lot of couples actually just put fake rings in their ring boxes and give the actual rings to the best man because they're a little bit more trustworthy. Might be a better idea. That's a judgment call for you based on your own personal ring bearer situation. But yeah, so I really think it's totally up to you, but give this a few more minutes to dry. If I had maybe I'll use this to just kind of dab it a little bit and make sure all the paint's off. Just using a fabric scrap to make sure. The wood does tend to absorb the acrylic paint a little faster. And now I just got it all over my hands again. So
How much do those trinket boxes cost? Like, they're pretty cheap, right?
They are very affordable. I really feel like the set of 12 was maybe like $12, if that.
Oh,
I
wow.
can't remember.
That's a great deal.
I mean, you could check online various places and compare prices. That's one of my favorite tips, being the budget savvy bride. I always recommend, shopping online and price comparing, no matter what you're buying, and checking out coupon sites to get discounts and save a little money here and there where you can. But yeah, if you're gonna look for them online, definitely search for wooden trinket box or wooden gift box. These ones I believe are 3x3 size, so that's kind of a good thing to keep in mind. But yeah, so these are still a little bit too wet to tie the ribbon around, but
I'll shout out some of our active vocal audience members who are chiming in about their favorite colors for weddings. Sandra Copeland says deep burgundy and maybe dark purple. I love that. I think that those are my mother's colors, actually. Terry Nuccio also says purple. Pat says sapphire blue.
Ooh.
June says royal blue and white. And then Pat said that this is reminiscent of like a bracelet box, which that's what I love about these. They definitely serve multi-purpose functions. Like, you could put really anything in them that you wanted to, and this looks so much better, I feel like, sitting on your dresser than maybe some of the other things that we keep our jewelry or our trinkets in.
Absolutely. This particular project, actually, when I did the kind of like turquoise Tiffany option, actually included a gift for the bridesmaids, almost like a bridesmaid's proposal gift. So it was a necklace that was a little bow, a little tiny bow necklace, and there was a card in it that said, will you help me tie the knot? And so that's a really great idea. Very simple gift, a cute little necklace, really simple DIY box that you can give as a gift to your bridesmaids to show your appreciation and ask them to be part of your special day. So super easy.
That's really sweet. I love that.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go ahead and show, just like super, super simple. You can just, wrap it around and tie. And this isn't like the traditional bow because this ribbon isn't actually quite long enough, but this might be easier for, your little guy to get down the aisle with, and when you do want to open it and get the rings out, it's easier because it's not all the way around both sides. So super cute, right?
I love it. It reminds me of the little blue box, like you said.
Yes, and what girl doesn't like seeing that? Super cute. So yeah, so that's the 4 projects here. I'll bring the other ones back out from earlier so you can see. And you can really customize both the outside and the inside of each of these projects, which is really awesome. So here is the more vintage one. This is the rustic one. And this one was our modern one. And, they're all still kind of drying. Didn't have quite enough time to show the full drying time here on the show today, but so as you can see, you can really kind of make these projects your own. Super simple, very customizable, make it, fit your wedding day and your vision. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this project. I would love to see if any of you decide to make one of these or put your own personal spin on it. Like, definitely share it with me. I'm all over social media, on Twitter, Instagram, on Budget Savvy Bride. Tag me in it. Like, I'd love to see it, and I can comment and say, like, it looks awesome. Because it's super simple. You really cannot mess this up. So I would love to see your projects.